Hey, welcome back here on this Wednesday. It's beautiful outside and beautiful inside as we've got former IU coach and current Detroit Mercy coach Mike Davis with us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you as always. You're always so gracious with us in your time. How's the postseason going right now? I know it's probably as busy as when you're coaching, if not busier.
Oh, it's definitely busy because there's 300 names every day that enter the transfer portal, so you have to be on top of it immediately.
That's the thing. When do you know it's like, oh, that's the guy I need? I need this guy, and you go after him, and if you kind of put the eggs in that basket, and for whatever reason you don't get him, then does that put you behind on trying to get that spot filled?
Oh, it's plenty. It's plenty. Um, you try to go out the guy, you see his name, you pull up his videos, and you watch him, and you see if that's what you need, and you call, and a lot of guys I like they'll tell you immediately if they have an interest or not, and they don't. The new generation now. I think some of them will lead you on, but some of them be up front with you, and I can respect them being up front.
That's always a great thing. Dusty May, of course, making the news as he has just traversed his way through this NCAA tournament, kind of like you did some 2 decades ago. It's kind of surprising. Of course, his is a little different because it's Florida Atlantic, but Indiana was not expected to do what they did when you made that run. Florida Atlantic certainly not expected to do what they've done. Kind of similar way with similar type of guys who just play their butts off and play their roles. But you had Dusty was a manager under Coach Bob Knight, but he was a graduate assistant under you. What are the differences between being a manager and a graduate assistant and what they're able to do?
Well, when you're a manager, you basically do the same thing as the GA, except for the GA title is different, and you have a little more responsibility as a GA, but both are the same. It all depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to get out of it. Most Indiana managers, the majority of them wanted to coach or wanted to get a job in the business world, and at that time, the manager position in Indiana was popular and famous for getting jobs and working hard.
Well, and they done. I don't know of any schools, or there has to be very few, that has a coaching tree of former managers. And Bob Kravitz was on with us just a little bit ago, and we were talking about from that same class, which all these guys, was Schrage, who is an assistant at Duke, and Joe Pasternak, who is the head coach at UC Santa Barbara, Ryan Carr with the Pacers. It's just amazing to have that come out of such a small group.
It is. It's a lot more than that. I can't think of the names, but I know the faces. They're all over the country, and that's why you came to Indiana. When I got there, Coach Knight has had a trio of managers that was there to learn under him, not just to be in the basketball world, but to be in the business world. And it was a really big deal. I can remember nights we getting back at 2:00 in the morning. Those guys would be out there waiting on the bus to get back to take off all the luggage that we had, and it was the film that they worked on. It was like a machine, and it's no surprise that the success that most of them are having in both business and basketball world.
Talking about Dusty, what was he like? We watch him on the sideline. He's pretty. Don Fisher used this word. He's very poised. And his teams stay that way. It's like he took a lot of things from you, from Coach Knight, and then he's got his own personality that he's just Dusty. And you just look all there, and it's like, oh, that's Dusty. You can just tell that's Dusty. He has his own deal, man.
He's a competitor. He's a very, very. He played pickup game, and he was similar to what Fife was in pickup games. He always fouled, and you always calling fouls on him, and you always getting into it with him. He just competed like you wouldn't believe in. But I'm proud of him, the way he handled himself on the sideline, the way he handled his players. They FaceTime me after the win over Kansas State. The team did from the locker room, and it was really great to see him get this Final Four jacket, because every coach that goes to the Final Four, they get a Final Four blazer, and you only
Oh,
can
wow.
get in the Final Four, and they have a Final Four dinner for all the Final Four coaches, and he's a part of that club now. I'm proud of him.
It's like the Five Timers Club on Saturday Night Live. Or I guess it's not the Master, kind of like the Masters. What colors are these jackets?
Black. They black.
God,
Maybe
black
navy blue. I
beige.
don't know. My wife just said navy. I don't know colors like.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Awesome. And he's built this team kind of like you built yours, with guys that are just fill their roles. He doesn't really have superstars, but these guys are thriving in what they're doing, and they're thriving at the highest level.
Unbelievable team. We played them in November, and it's something about a team that you can tell that they can be a real basketball team. And there's very few real basketball teams in college basketball every year. I always make this speech, and I told this team this. There's only going to be 4 or 5 real teams, and it's hard to be a real team. A real team is a team that doesn't care who starts, who shoots, who plays. They celebrate their teammates' success more than they do their own, because there's so many outside forces that really hurt you to becoming a real team. You know, your mom, your dad, your coach say, why you not playing? Why you not shooting? He should be running more plays for you. And just that alone can cause confusion amongst you being a real team. So out of 355 schools, every year is only going to be 4 or 5 that's a real basketball team. That's why the transfer portal is so full now, is because it's hard to be a real team. You play a game on Saturday, and your name is in the transfer portal on Sunday. So it tells you that you're not all in, and you wasn't a real basketball team.
The Final Four that we have right now, COVID has played a part of this, because there are a lot of guys that are getting that 5th year to play, in addition to the transfer portal hitting at the same time. Is the type of Final Four we see now, is that the new normal, or is that going to kind of go back after this COVID wave hits out and things level back out?
Well, I just think it's going to be the norm, to be honest with you, because there's so many things that plays a part of being a real basketball team. I think the NIL is something that's, maybe, you look at Miami, they took advantage of the NIL because they're a real team. They added some pieces to it. And then you have some teams that the NIL have cost them games and cost them from being a real team. So the COVID years helped some players, help some teams, but it comes down to being a real team. And now you have guys who are making more money than the coaches are making, and making more money than their parents are making. And, blessed to them. But at the same time, when I call you and tell you why you're not playing, why you're not shooting, you should have a bigger role in the team. It really hurt your team, because, again, I can't be with you on Monday and have my name in the transfer portal on Tuesday if those feelings wasn't there at some point throughout the course of the season.
With Miami being known for having a couple of big-time paycheck NIL guys, but they only have really brought in one guy, does that put to bed kind of those type of teams will not be able to build chemistry because they're playing pretty damn well? You had Kansas State, who had 10 new faces. They were able to come together really well. You obviously use the portal a lot. Is it more not as difficult as people think to get teams to play together quicker?
Oh, it's difficult, even if they've been there with you for a long time. Again, I say it's just tough, because a lot of these kids have played so many games that the hurt feeling of losing, the motivation of going out every single day to be the best you can be is lacking, I think, in the game, because 5 minutes after every game, a lot of teams, you can't tell they even played a game. Now, let alone won or lost the game. And so it's just different. You know, there's no true answer to it. It's just most everybody's opinion about what I can only, speak about the teams I've coached and the things I see and the things I hear. And so Dusty has done a great job in San Diego State, even Kansas State. My son was recruited by Kansas State last year in the transfer portal. And those guys, the little guard they have, when Antoine went on his visit, he was calling Antoine his brother. So he really understands the culture. He was like, hey, I'm going to get you the ball. You're going to break the record because I'm going to help you do it. You know, when you have players speaking like that, you know, it's to me, it's a message to you that they're going to be a real team when you're having those kind of conversations with recruits that's coming on campus and you've been there.
Speaking of Antoine, he is now the second all-time leading scorer in the history of the NCAA. That's got to be something that will always bring a smile to your face.
It definitely brings a smile to my face. There was so many controversial things about it, and the narrative was painted that we was trying to buy our way into a record, and I've heard so many different stories, and none of them are true. You know, we played at an event last year under 500. The CBI contacted us. We didn't contact them. They contacted us, and the pressure they got from just even mentioning our name to break the record was amazing. And he was disappointed from just knowing that people didn't want us to play just because of the record and everything that he broke. But I told him his career is really unmatched. Only two players in history that ever gotten 3,600 points, and the 3-point all time, the 144 consecutive games of double figures, is really, really good. And I'm excited and happy, but the message I think was missed through what he did, and what he did was hard work. It was hard work. I don't know, a college basketball player, similar to what Pistol Pete did, to be honest with you, because how many guys are taking 30,000 shots in a week and 5,000 shots in a day and 10,000 shots in one day, and so the message should have been, not the record, but the work that he put in to become the player that he was in college basketball.
What's up next for Antoine? I know he said you mentioned, I think it may have been off air though, but he's competing in a 3-point contest at the Final Four. I'm assuming you're going down there for coaches meetings and whatnot.
I never go to the Final Four.
Not since 2002.
When you in it, you don't want to go just to be down there being a spectator, And so he's going. He left this morning, going to the 3-point contest, which is tomorrow on ESPN2, I think. And then he's going to fly out to Las Vegas because everybody I talk to is talking about his size and his strength and everything. So he's going to go spend 2 months out there. He's not going to play in the. He got invited to the NBA. I mean, not the NBA, but the Final Four All-Star game. I want him to get out to Vegas as quick as possible and train with Joe Abudasar, who's an Indiana person as well. And so he's going to go there for 2 months to try to pick up, 10 to 15 pounds of muscle and strength, and hopefully he can play in the summer league this summer.
Yeah, Charlie Miller, a good friend, always talks about him as well. That whole group, like I said. But what's up next for you? Just doing all the hard work and getting ready for next season already?
Just trying to get a team. We had so much bad luck this year. We had 2 starters that missed the whole second semester of our season, and one averaged 14 and one averaged 12. So we lost 26 points at the first semester point. And then we had over 100 games missed by starters alone. And I think Antoine and one other player was the only 2 guys that didn't miss a game of the whole year. So just trying to get some kids that want to play, want to be the kind of team that Dusty has right now, that the team come first, and that's tough to do.